All right, there's 15.2. We'll do that one first, and then we'll do 16.2. All right. Go. Factoring. Who's the first person that is going to help me? Let's see. Let's see who it's going to be. Hi, Aaliyah.
No. Pick somebody
No,
else. Pick somebody
no.
else. Yeah, I'm eating. Pick somebody else.
That's all right. All I need to know from you is this.
Oh
We're going to do problem number 3. In factoring, we have x squared plus 13x plus 36. What is A, Aaliyah?
X squared.
No.
I missed like all of last week, so I don't really know.
All right, so let me work you through it. We're dealing with the coefficients right now. So A is equal to what?
1.
B is equal to what?
13.
And C is equal to what?
36.
36. Awesome. So what we're going to do is do the absolute value of A times the absolute value of C. What's A?
1.
What's C?
36.
And 1 times 36 is what?
36.
All right. So I am going to teach you how to factor when A is equal to 1. Is A equal to 1?
Yeah.
Beautiful. So now this is what we do. We create, and I got to write this on the other side. We create a list of factors. A list of factors, okay? Isaiah. There we go. Always start with the number 1.
1.
So 1 times what gets me to 36?
36.
Good. 2 times what?
18.
3 times what?
I don't know. 12.
4. 4 goes in how many times?
9.
Good. 5. Does 5 go in?
No.
Does 6 go in?
Yeah, 6.
Notice that there's a 6 on the right-hand side, so I'm done. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now, all these lists, if I sit there and multiply them, I'll get the 36. Now, here's the other part to this. I want to make sure that
more.
they add or subtract and they equal up to B. And you said B was 13, correct?
Yeah.
So we have to figure out a way to do this. C is a positive number. B is a positive number. Therefore, all of your factors are going to be what?
Positive.
Positive. So plus, 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 plus. All your factors are plus. So now 1 plus 36 is what?
37.
2 and 18?
20.
3 and 12?
15.
4 and 9?
13.
6 and 6?
12.
Which set of factors equals out to 13?
Like multiplication wise?
Nope. Addition wise?
1 and 12.
You have to pick one that's on your list. So 4 and 9 equal 13, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So you see how I do it. If you do it this way, it's real clear. 4 and 9 are equal to 13 when you add them together. 4 times 9 is equal to 36 when you multiply them together. So you get your B and your C. Does that make sense?
Yeah, a little bit.
So now your factored form is always going to be 2 sets of parentheses with binomials. The first term is always X. Now, what is the second term in each of them going to be?
The numbers.
So plus 4, and then what?
Plus 9.
Plus 9. This is your factored form. So x squared plus 13 plus 36 when factored is equal to x plus 4 times x plus 9. Make sense?
No, I did not understand one thing you just said.
Okay. So let me bring you back to this. If I distribute, I would take 3x plus 4, and what would you do?
Distribute.
What does that mean?
Distribute the 3 into the x. I don't know that.
Yeah, what does that mean? What math property are you doing?
Distribution. PEMDAS?
Yes. What operation though?
Oh, on the parentheses. What?
What do arrows mean?
You're distributing.
True. So this is what I want you to realize, Aaliyah. Yes, you are distributing. But remember, in math, there are only 4 things that you could do, 4 operations that you can use. And that's
Well, yeah.
addition, subtraction.
Multiplication, subtraction, and division.
There you go. So distributing is another form of
Multiplication.
multiplication. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Now remember, in math, everything has an equal and opposite term, right? So if I add, what's the opposite?
Subtract.
If I multiply, what's the opposite?
Divide.
So if I distribute, what's the opposite?
Factor.
Factor. So factor, if distribute is multiply, factoring must be what?
Division.
Division. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So now let's think about this problem I just gave you. 3x plus 12. That's what that would equal, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So I just multiplied 3 in. What if I did this? 3x plus 12, put in parentheses, put my empty parentheses, and now what's my GCF of 3 and 12?
4.
3. Because 3 divides into 3, and 12 is also divided by 3, and will come out with a whole number.
Oh, I thought you meant what numbers they had in common.
Yeah. 3 times 4, I understand that. But now, there's an x here. Is there another x here?
No.
No, so I can't pull out an x. So watch this. My GCF, greatest common factor, is 3. So now watch what I do. If I divide this term by 3, this term by 3, what's 3 divided by 3?
1.
What's left?
3. I mean 8.
X plus, what's 12 divided by 3?
4.
4. Doesn't this say 3 times x plus 4?
Yeah.
Isn't that what we started with?
Yeah.
So you see, if I distribute, I multiply and I get this. But if I factor this, it's the same thing. I pulled out what? I pulled out a 3. Before I multiplied in a 3, now I divide by a 3. And they keep going back and forth. They're opposites of each other. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So over here, I need to be able to factor something out of x squared plus 13x plus 36. The way we do that when a is equal to 1 is we do absolute value of a times absolute value of c. So I get 1 times 36, and that's 36. So now we want to find a list of factors. And we just did that. 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 6 and 6, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So that's only one piece of the pie. That gets me to C, but I also need to get to B, and B is equal to 13. So I take these factors. Now I need to know something. This is my key, because I need to know if C is positive, and I also need to know is B positive, because they could be positive or negative. Now, if both of them are positive, then both of my lists, notice the left side are the small numbers. The right side are the large numbers. But if both C and B are positive, everything's positive. And now I just add them up, which you got 37, you got 20, you got 15, 13, and 12. Well, which one is equal to B? Well, B's 13. Here's 13. I circled these factors. These factors say this. If I multiply them together, I'll get 36. If I add them together, I'll get B. And now I can write the factor form. X goes in the first spot every single time. And then you found out that it's +4 and +9. So I put those into the second part. Now watch what happens here. Let's prove that this is right. Factoring means divide. What does distributing mean?
Multiply.
Multiply. So let's multiply them together. So I would do this and this. I would do this and this, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So what does that say? X times what?
Isn't it 1x?
No, it says X times X.
Oh no, because I'm solving it. I'm solving it over. I'm not doing it like little step by step. But
Okay.
it's x times x and
Plus
4 times 9.
Yep.
Plus
X
4
times 9 plus
4 times 9.
4 times X plus 4 times
What's up
what?
with all these x's? 9.
9. All I did was repeat. Here's an X. So X times X. Then I did X times 9. Then I did 4 times X. And then 4 times 9. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So what's X times X?
You need your iPad.
X squared.
X squared, because 1 plus 1. What is X times 9?
9x.
What's 4 times X?
4x.
What's 4 times 9?
Shit. 54. 36. Right.
36. So I have 9x plus 4x because they're the same term. I can add them. What do I get?
Oh, you want me to? Yeah.
What's the first part that said that you need to do? Not to say.
So now think about this. X plus 4 times x plus 9 is equal to what? When I multiply x plus 4 times x plus 9, what do I get?
X plus 4 times x plus 9. I'm confused.
This right here, we multiplied. We distributed, correct?
Oh.
What does that equal?
It equals that at the bottom.
Good. Isn't that what we started with?
Yeah.
So isn't this the factored form?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that the same thing I did right here on a smaller level?
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense to you?
Somewhat.
All right. That's a good job. Keep working with it because you need practice. That's all. So let's do that. Yeah. Hey, I got 2 people now. 2 brains is better than 1. Let's make it happen. Aiden, Brookie.
Wait, hold up. Aiden, come.
Got 9x and 18. So here we go. X squared plus 9x plus 18. We're going to alternate turns. So Brooke, what is A?
A is 1.
Aiden, what's B?
9.
Brooke, what's C?
18.
What do I do now, Aiden?
You add A and B. I mean A and C.
Add them?
Multiply.
Good. What's A and C, Brooke?
18.
Good. 1 times 18 is 18. Now what do I do, Aiden?
You factor it.
Not factor it. You're saying it's correct, but how you say it is important because the factor tree is different than listing.
Greatest common multiple.
No. We're just going to list the factors. Okay. It's a little bit different than doing the factor tree.
Or you could do a small cup, whatever.
All right. So what number do we start with?
1.
1 times what?
18.
2,
times 9
3,
times
Times
6.
4,
There's a
No.
4.
5,
No.
and we already have a 6, correct?
Yeah.
Done. So now, what do we want these to equal?
9.
Y, what is that?
B.
B. C is what kind of number?
You said what?
C is what kind of number?
Positive.
And B is what kind of number?
Positive.
Therefore, my factors are what?
Positive.
Yeah.
Brooke, 1 and 18.
19.
Aiden,
11.
Brooke,
9.
which one is it, Aiden?
3 and 6.
So what do I do now, Brooke?
Don't you put it into factor form?
Yep.
Okay, so wouldn't that be x plus 3 and then x plus 6?
Beautiful. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you're done. That's how fast that is. But this only works when what?
When they're different?
When
When the factors are different. Like the factor form is different.
what do you mean?
I don't
Isn't
know.
it when A is 1?
I don't know.
When A
Yeah,
is
when A is
1.
1. You're right.
When A is 1, that works. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because if A is not 1, we got to do a different technique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Y'all work good as a tandem, so I'm going to split y'all up. So here we go. Me and Brooke.
You said Aiden.
Me and Brooke.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm going to do other.
Bye, Aiden.
So we got x squared minus 5x plus 4. Is it 4?
Yeah.
Yep. So here we go. I'm not saying anything. Do it.
Okay, x is 1. Well, A is 1. B is -5. And then C is 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then you times A times C, which will give you 4.
Mm-hmm.
And then you break down 4
Mm-hmm.
and you do 1 first, so that's 1 times 4, and then 2 times 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then wait. You don't add though. Wait, do you? Wait, I'm confused.
No, you're not. What
Wait,
are
you
we
add,
looking for?
wait, but B,
Which is?
-5,
C is
Okay.
what kind of number?
positive,
B is what kind of number?
negative.
What does that tell you?
You have to subtract.
What does it tell you about both factors?
I don't know.
Good. I'm glad you said that. Here's what we need to know. Here's C, here's B. C can be positive or negative. B can be positive or negative.
Okay.
So that means that if I'm going to get factors,
Okay.
this graphic organizer will always help you. If I get factors, right? If C is positive and B is positive, both of my factors have to be positive.
Yeah.
A positive times a positive will give me a positive, and a positive plus a positive will give me a positive. But if C is positive and B is negative, then a negative times a negative will get me a what?
Positive.
And a negative minus, well, a negative plus a negative will get me a
Positive. Right? Wait, a negative.
negative. Does that make sense?
Okay, yeah. Okay, I know what you're saying. Okay.
All right. So then I have C being negative. So I know I need to multiply a positive and a negative to get a negative.
Mhm.
But if B is positive, then the bigger number better be what?
Positive.
Positive, because when I add them together, I keep the sign of the bigger number.
Okay.
If B is negative, then the bigger number has to be negative because I keep the sign of the bigger number. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So now, C is positive, B is negative.
Mm-hmm.
Both factors are going to be what?
Negative.
So I get negative, 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 negative. Negative 1 minus 4.
Negative 3.
Negative 1 minus 4.
Wait.
Same sign, add, keep the sign.
Oh. So would it be negative 5?
Negative 5. Negative 2 and negative 2.
Negative 4?
Which one works?
Negative 1, negative 4.
Good. So now I can write them in what?
Factor form.
Which will be what? What's the first term always?
X, negative 1,
There you go. So this comes down here.
and then it's X, negative 4.
There you go. Cool?
Cool.
All right, put Aiden on.
Aiden.
Hold up.
Yeah. It's your turn.
Minus 3.
He's doing other work. Hold up.
Let's go.
Okay, I'm coming.
All you.
Okay, I'm back.
For what?
A is 1,
B is?
2,
C is?
negative 3.
What do I do?
8 times negative 3.
Am I doing 1 times negative 3?
Yeah.
No.
No. Times 3.
Yes, that's why it's absolute value.
Oh, okay.
So I get 3. Now what?
You factor 3.
Go ahead.
1 and 3.
That's
That's
2
all.
work. They're good. All right, keep going.
And then you do negative 1. Oh, well, that equals 4. But yeah, negative 1 plus 3. So that you get
Why are the signs different?
because you have to subtract 1 by 3 to get 2.
True. You need to know this graphic organizer. Makes your life easy. C is not positive. C is what?
Negative.
Negative. B is what?
Positive. Up.
Therefore, the bigger number has to be positive. The smaller number has to be negative. A
Yeah.
negative times a positive is still a negative, but negative 1 plus 3 is still going to be positive. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And negative 1 plus 3 is what?
2.
Therefore, that works. What do I do?
Oh, you put x minus 1 and then x plus 3. Mike?
That makes sense.
Yep.
Good job. All right, everybody.
All right.
Does that hone in what we need to know?
Yeah.
This is what's important. That little graphic organizer here will make your life so much easier. You won't have to guess what signs you're using. You already know. Okay?
Yes.
Ma'am.
So we have that. We're good there?
Yes, sir.
All right. Anybody having any issues with factoring these quadratics when A is equal to 1?
No.
No.
No?
No.
We're all good.
For the
Mhm.
most part.
So let's go to here. All right. Now, this is chapter 16. This is finding the zeros. Finding the zeros means what? We're finding the x-intercepts.
Mhm.
X-intercepts we know something about. X is going to be something, but Y will always be what?
0.
0. So if that is true, finding the zeros, f of x is another way of saying what?
F of y.
right? F of X is the same thing as saying Y. So I could rewrite this equation saying Y equals X minus 3, X plus 5. And you just told me that if I'm finding the zeros, Y will always equal what?
The 0.
0. And now I'm able to solve this. So I'm gonna jump out of that because I already did that yesterday. But let's talk about this. It's the zero product property. So I hear you, Isaiah. What is 0 times 1 million?
0.
Awesome. Brianna, what is 0 times 32 over 42? Oh, she disappeared on me, huh? Is that how we doing things? Carlos. Oh, everybody's muted again. I don't know why y'all keep muting yourself.
The hit, bruh.
Carlos.
Yeah.
What
Hey,
is
how you
0
put your hand up?
times 32 over 42?
0.
0. Who else is in? Oop. That didn't go so well. Nubia, stop muting yourself. I'm coming for Nubia. Nubia. There we go. Nubia.
Y quiero Taco Bell.
Oh, te quiero.
Oh,
I hate you.
What is 0 times point
Oh my gosh, she
zero
is so
one
annoying.
3 4 5?
I don't like those numbers though.
That's nice. What is 0 times all those numbers?
0.
A 0.
0.
Because 0 times anything is 0.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if I make it even harder, x plus 3 times 0, what does that equal to?
0.
0.
negative 32.
What is 0 times x minus 42?
Imagine if you were gay.
What is that?
Just imagine it looked like
0.
0. Good.
you dated Kathy.
So if I know that x plus 3 times x minus 42 is equal to 0,
Yo, bad bitch. She thinks she's so fine right now. Like, you're gay. Keep it.
so x plus 3 times x minus 42 is equal to 0. That means all I need is for one of these to be 0 and the other one has to be 0. So I'll be good. So x plus 3 is equal to 0. X minus 42 is equal to 0. I'm just setting it equal to this 0 over here, okay? So minus 3 minus 3. X is equal to negative 3. So if x is equal to negative 3, then I know that I will get a 0. Plus 42 plus 42. If x is equal to 42, then I know I will get a 0 for this problem right here. Let's substitute it in. I got negative 3 plus 3. I got negative 3 minus 42 is equal to 0. Is that true? Well, negative 3 plus 3 is 0. Negative 3 minus 42 is minus 45. 0 times negative 45 is still 0. So that checks. So let's do plus 42. So 42 plus 3 times 42 minus 42 is equal to 0. This gets me 45. This gets me 0. 0 is equal to 0. Works, works. So you have 2 answers. Uh-oh, there we go. Come on. That's what happens when you spell it wrong. 2 answers. Okay. Now, that brings us into this. For those who are just getting here, we know that a quadratic, watch all these names that I give you. A quadratic is a parabola, which is a U-shaped graph. All right. So that U-shaped graph could go like this, or it could go like this. All this means is that A is positive, this one A is negative. Simple as that. Okay, but let's put it on a graph. I'm gonna put 3 different parabolas. Here's one parabola. In parabola 1, does it ever cross the x-axis? No. So there are no zeros. Next parabola. How many times does it touch the x-axis? Once. So you will get 1 answer. And then I have one more. How many times does that touch the x-axis? 2 times. So your possibilities are none, 1, or 2 when it comes to these parabolas. So the zeros, let's tie it all together. The zeros, how many different options could you have? 0, 1, or 2. So how many answers do we get here? Well, x is equal to 3 and x is equal to -5. I get 2 answers. So it crosses the x-axis in 2 different points. What are those points? Well, you just told me what x was, and I know that y is always 0. So this one would be -5, 0, and this one would be 3, 0. I can graph those points. Now I'm getting ahead of myself with graphing, but I want to tie it in so you're not sitting there saying, hey, why are we learning? What's the zeros? What's going on? What does that even mean? If you hear the terminology, find the zeros, they're asking for the x-intercepts, which that means that y is always equal to 0. That means I could either, it might not cross the x-axis, it might touch the x-axis once, or it might cross the x-axis twice. I have 3 options. All right, so how do I do that? I'm gonna do an example first. Let's do 3. This really says y is equal to x squared plus 2x plus 1. Because that's function notation, this is standard form. Now I'm looking for the zeros, so therefore I know y is equal to 0. So I get x squared plus 2x plus 1. But is this in factored form? No. So I need to do factored form. Now, I know a is equal to 1. I also know 1's there. So I can literally do the factored form in just one step. X plus 1 times x plus 1. Because 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 plus 1 is 2. Therefore, I know I did it correctly. So what do? X plus 1 is equal to 0. X plus 1 is equal to 0. Minus 1, minus 1. X is equal to -1. Minus 1, minus 1. X is equal to -1. X is exactly the same. Therefore, how many answers did I get? 1. Therefore, I know that's my vertex. X is equal to -1. So I know -1, 0. This is the graph part. This is your answer for the 0. Okay? And I'm just doing the graph. You don't have to do the graph part. I'm just getting ahead because I like to get ahead and help y'all out. Okay, so.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, somewhat.
All right. So here we go. I'm gonna mute y'all. I'm gonna grab somebody and let's make it happen.
Ooh.
Ready?
Stella.
Mhm.
Good. Here we go. Number 2. How can I rewrite this equation?
I don't know.
Instead of writing f of x, I can put a what?
Y,
Good. So y is equal to what?
X, 2 minus X.
Good. Now, if I'm finding the zeros, what number do I make x? I mean, not x, y.
0.
0. Correct? Now, this is a tricky one in the sense that you don't have a C. But if C's not there, I can just put what? Actually, I can't do it that way. I can factor out what? What's in both of these?
X.
X. So I factor out an X, parentheses. So this, X squared divided by X is what? 2 minus 1 is what?
1.
1. So I have one of the X's, correct?
Mhm.
Now I divide this side by an X. What is X divided by X?
X.
1, correct? Because 4 divided by 4 is what? What's 4 divided by 4?
1.
What's 10 divided by 10?
1.
What's 11 divided by 11?
1.
So X divided by X has to be what?
1.
1. And there's minus sign right here, so I put the minus sign. So here we go. X times X minus 1. I can set X equal to 0. That would say 0 times that. I know it's 0. And then I can do X minus 1 is equal to what number?
0.
0. And now I solve for X. What should I do? Stella?
I don't know.
So let's go through the 4 steps. Simplify / combine like terms. PEMDAS, anything combine. Do I have to do anything for the first step?
No.
Second step, remove all addition subtraction from near your variable. Is there addition or subtraction near your variable?
Yeah, there's a -1.
A -1. So what do I do? Instead of subtracting, I what?
You add.
Add. Add what?
Add the 1 to both sides.
Beautiful. So now X comes down. -1 plus 1 does what? What's -1 plus 1? Or should I just say 1 minus 1?
0.
Bring down your equal sign. What's 0 plus 1?
1.
So X is equal to both 0 and 1. How many answers did you get?
2.
2. Good. So the answers are X is equal to 0, X is equal to 1. If I want, and this is ahead of the game, if I want to write where to graph them, when X is 0, Y is 0. When X is 1, Y is 0. And those are the 2 points I could graph. Okay? Does that make sense?
Kinda, yeah.
Kind of. All right. So let's go. Yay, Maria, Maria. Maria.
How can I assist?
Oh, you can assist by helping me with this big old problem at number 6.
Why you always have to give me the big problems?
Because it's really not that big. So here we go. It's already set up.
I honestly am confused because it kept kicking me out and I kept having to rejoining.
Okay, I got you. So let's work this out. It says equal to 0.
Yes,
So
sir.
I is equal to 0. So we're good there. And over here we have the quadratic. And because I know that you have been on every day and such a diligent student, I know that you know how to factor this quadratic. A is equal to what?
X. No, 1.
1, thank you. B is equal to what?
4.
And C is equal to what?
3.
Good. So what do I do from here?
You factor.
Not yet. I got to do something before that.
You multiply A and C.
And what is A and C? There you go.
You get
Now what
3.
do I do?
And you have to look at the factors of 3. So 1 and 3,
Yay.
and then 3 and 3. No,
1 and 3, then it would
Maybe.
go to 2, but 2 doesn't go into 3, and you already have a 3. So you're done. 1 and 3, correct?
yes,
C is what kind of number? Positive or negative?
positive,
B is what kind of number? Positive or negative?
positive,
Therefore, both of your factors have to be what?
positive.
And when you add them together, what do you get?
4,
Does that equal to B?
yeah,
So you know that this works, correct?
yes,
So instead of writing the quadratic as a trinomial, we're going to write it as a product of these binomials, correct?
sure, yeah, of course.
So what do I put in those parentheses?
1 x plus 1
Good.
and x plus 3.
Good. So now, instead of writing this, we wrote this. They're the exact same thing, just one's in factor form. So now I can set x plus 1 equal to what?
Wait. X. I'm gonna take an educated guess. I don't know. What do you mean x plus 1? 0?
Yay. And
I
then
was
can
gonna say
set
that, but I
x
didn't want to
plus
be wrong.
3 is equal to what?
0.
0. Because look, if one of these parentheses, if this parenthesis was 0, 0 times x plus 3 would still equal what?
0.
0. What if this one was 0? X plus 1 times 0 would still equal what?
0.
So therefore, x plus 3 is equal to 0. X plus 1 is equal to 0. So if I subtract 3, I get x is equal to what?
X is equal to 0.
What's 0
3.
minus negative 3?
3.
0 minus
1.
3.
0.
0 minus 3.
I said 3. Negative 3. Oh my god. It's not that deep. That little dash is not that deep.
Gotcha. What's x equal to here?
X is equal to, I'm guessing 0
0 minus 1?
is 1. Negative 1.
There you go. All right, so my answers to this problem are x is equal to negative 3 and x is equal to negative 1. Do not make a coordinate pair out of the x's. They're x's. If I want the coordinate pair, I put negative 3 comma what? Marie?
Can you repeat that? I wasn't paying attention.
Awesome. Negative 3 comma 0 is a point I could do. The other point I could do is negative 1 comma what?
0.
Yay. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
These are called x-intercepts.
Steps.
That's where they cross the x-axis. So all you're doing is factoring a quadratic, replace that. It's already set equal to 0. And then, because you have it in factor form, I could set each factor to 0. Because I know if I multiply them together, I will get 0 for the y. Does that make sense, Marie?
Yeah, I have a question.
Talk to me.
So are you putting in the pretest as a grade?
Oh my goodness, you're talking about grades while I'm teaching. You have to hold all those questions to the end, please.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you, Marie.
You're welcome.
All right, anybody got any questions?
Nope.
No.
Nope. We're all good.
How are you gonna say? Does anybody have any questions after I just asked the question?
I'm talking about the math, not talking about
Are you gonna say
the grades.
No,
All
sir.
right, there is one more that I want to make sure that you know how to do. Won't take us that long because it's just one extra step,
while I ask?
and it's all about if they give it to you in this format. If they give it to you in that format, you have to just reorganize it. That's all you're doing. I want everything on one side, and I want the 0 on the other side. So therefore, this is fine. I need to get this over here and this over there. Okay, so how do I do that? So x squared plus 3 equals 6x minus 5. Well, if I want to get the 6x over to the left, I need to make it go to 0. And what I do to one side, I must do to the other. So I get negative 6x plus x squared plus 3 is equal to negative 5. Now, if I want the 5 over, what am I going to do? I need to make it go to 0. So I add 5. What I do to one side, I must do to the other. Notice I kept it with the 3 because the 3 is a constant. So I get negative 6x plus x squared plus 8 is equal to 0. You can't forget the 0. Now, we all know that we shouldn't write a quadratic in that form. X squared goes first, then minus 6x plus 8 equals 0. So I didn't do any math there. I just reorganized it so I'm in the proper format. Okay, so now if they're asking me for the zeros, I need to factor this. That factor when a is equal to 1 is the same thing we've been doing. So b is negative 6, c is equal to 8. So a times c, the absolute value that is, so 1 times 8 is equal to 8. Do your list. Naturally, by now, some of you have figured out that you can just look at it. I know factors of 8, they're not that big, and which ones are going to get me to 6. But I got 1 and 8, 2 and 4, 3 doesn't work, 5 doesn't work, so I'm good. Okay? So I know that C is positive, B is negative. So the bigger number has to be, no, they're both, since C is positive and B is negative, both have to be negative, okay? So I got negative 9 and I got a negative 6. So that one works. So instead of writing x squared minus 6x plus 8, I'm going to write x minus 2 times x minus 4 equals 0. These two things are equivalent. They're exactly the same thing, just different formats. Now I'm looking for the 0, so I set each binomial, this one and this one, to 0. So x minus 2 is equal to 0, and x minus 4 is equal to 0. So add 2, x equals 2 plus 4, x equals 4. I have 2 answers. That means it crosses the x-axis 2 different times. So x is equal to 2, x is equal to 4. This is your answer. They're not put together. They're separate, okay? I am getting you into the fact of knowing that they are coordinate pairs because they're x-intercepts. So 2, 0, and 4, 0, which you could graph that and be able to start your way actually graphing a quadratic, okay? Let's come back here.
No.
All right, my people, what's up? Talk to me. Let me know what's up.
The
You're
ceiling.
giving me a headache.
Okay, I have a question now.
I'm tired.
Is it about math or is it about grades?
It's about grades, but you said that it's the end of the lesson.
I didn't say it was the end of the lesson. I asked.
Okay,
are
well,
there
you
any
said talk
questions?
to you.
Before Marie asks her grade question, are there any questions on the math?
No.
All right, Marie, ask your question.
Okay, I have 2 questions.
Got it. Go.
Are you grading the pretest?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So did you take the pretest after it was due and now you still have an F?
No. I just took the pretest and I got an 84 on it.
Awesome.
But
I didn't. Oh,
Uh,
continue.
the quiz, on the other hand, I didn't do so great on that.
Okay.
Um,
The pretest
that's
is the
about it.
quiz.
Never.
Then it counts as a
It says
quiz.
it
I
says
have-
pre-test and then it says quiz. There's two separate ones.
Yeah, the quiz for this week that you have all week to do, you should have did that. Now, if you did it, I'm not sure. Let me check. I think quizzes sometimes they give you 2 shots at it. Let me
Can you
check.
put the test back up? Because I didn't do it.
Everything's back up.
The test isn't on there. That's not on my thing. That's why I didn't do it.
Because
It should be.
if you look at my
Does it say
quiz grade, it's not the best looking grade in the book.
Yeah, I'm gonna just go to the assignment and see. They're talking algebra 2. Let's see what you got. Pretest. Which one? This week's worth? This one?
I
This
took
week?
a pre-test for this week and it said I got an 84 on it.
Yeah, there's one that says pretest and is modular 14.
Yeah, and then there's another one that says quiz for this week that I took
Yes. Which
a
one
little
do you
bit
want me to look
ago.
at? The quiz?
Huh?
All right.
What happened?
You want me to look at the quiz that says
Yeah.
algebra 2 week 5.
I guess. I want to know if I could do it again.
That's what I'm gonna look at.
Vanilla.
Later. Let me try this. No, it's limited to 1.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
Let's talk after the Zoom.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Aaliyah,
I'll
what was your
email you.
question?
Mm.
Aaliyah, did you have a question?
I told you the test wasn't on my thing. I don't have it.
Which one are you talking about?
The pre-test, because I did the the post-test. I did the pre, but I didn't do the post.
Let me see. Bum, bum, bum. Aaliyah. All right. All right. So I have everything here. Bum, bum, bum. You have the quiz. Yeah. Pre and post test. You didn't do it. Look for, are you looking at it right now?
No.
Can you look at it right now?
Ryan, give me my computer, please.
So the one that you're looking for is called Mod 14 Polynomials and Operations. That has been reopened for everybody. So you should be able to find that.
Isn't it supposed to say test on it or something?
No,
I was on
that's
it.
what I'm saying. The first 2, it doesn't do it like that. It says Mod 14 Polynomials and Operations post test. I realize now I can change the actual names of this. So it says quiz, so it says test. And then that way you're not looking at it like, I don't know what that is. So it's Mod 14 Polynomials and Operations post test. That is your test.
I don't see it. All I see is.
Take your time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a bunch of them over there. So good on that.
Oh my gosh. This is too much work, Mr. Harris. You're giving me a headache.
All right. If 10 problems a day is too much work, which I've lowered
10
that,
problems. It'd be 15. It'd be 15 and 20.
You're actually getting 20 a week now. A week. That's not even cool. Not even cool. 20 a week. That's 4 problems a day. So, all right. Any other questions? Anybody else? Everybody's good? Everybody's healthy?
Yep.
All right. I'm glad to know that y'all are fine. I love the fact that y'all sit there and it's pretty much the same people every day. So I am basically having a class. I had 8 periods during school, and now I have a class of 1 that has around 12 students. So I appreciate y'all. I'm glad that you're working. Some of you are on here but not turning in work. Hint, hint. Moving on.
I'll fix it.
Y'all need to make sure that you're actually doing the work.
Okay.
Okay. So, y'all have a good one, and I will be around at 10 o'clock tomorrow. Okay.
All right.
That is too. Wait. That's too early because I'm in Texas and my time is a bit different.
I got you. I can't do it per student, and I post these. So 10 o'clock, I
Wait,
have
Mr.
to, because
Harris.
11 o'clock is another meeting. I have. Okay. It's
Mr.
only
Harris.
9 o'clock. I mean, 10 o'clock in the morning. Yours is 9 o'clock if you're in Texas. You're an hour behind. It's
I
not.
know that it's still
Mr.
early.
Harris.
You used to be in school at 7 o'clock. Now 9 o'clock is too early. COVID-19, take over.
Mr. Harris.
Nuvia.
Hi. I exist. Okay. So we also have you Wednesdays too?
I do Monday through Thursday. Wednesday is a day where you're able to, at 10 o'clock, if you get on, you get on. If not, not. I've been doing one-on-ones on Wednesday for the most part. But yeah, I do it at 10 o'clock in the morning
Why so early?
because I have an 11 o'clock meeting and I'm not eating up my afternoons. Got
I mean,
a lot of
that's your
grading to do.
Alright.
All righty. Remember, none of this is mandatory, and think about it. Like a lot of other teachers aren't doing this, and I just want to make sure that you have every chance and every resource available.
They should.
I am one of your resources, so if you have
You're a good
questions,
resource,
that's what
you know.
this is for. Okay?
You're a really good resource.
Am I the only one here from your Algebra 2 class? I think so.
It's like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, bye, Mr. Harris. Have a good day.
Y'all
Have a great day,
good
Mr.
one.
Harris.
Bye.
Let's record. Everything is ready to go. Let's share a screen. Got that. All right. Always, always, always. I like to always start by coming to the web. Just a reminder, make sure that you are going to the website. Check your grades. Remember, classwork, homework, it's an average of whatever is assigned. As you can see, this week, you only had like 3 assignments. That totals 2. But whatever. And you will see a lot of assignments on HRW. If you already did it, it's done. It's completed. I have to maintain the assignments open for those students who have not started on time, need extra time, or are just not doing what they're supposed to be doing. So with that being said, I go to my calendar. Here's May. So today, the 28th, we're dealing with 15.2 and 16.2. All right, let's get crack-a-lackin'. Let's go to OneNote. Dum, dum, dum.